Tell a story of when you experienced something that you still can't explain to this day. I'll go first.
Let's ensure that you never sleep again. Spooky story time. This one is short, but it's a story that I used to hear when I was a kid. Apparently, this used to happen to people in Haiti.
Please, I don't have any time for any gossip now. Eh? Yes.
Do something with it.
It's just money coming to me easily. Money coming in and needing me. Money coming in repeatedly. Money coming, it's just money coming. It's just money coming to me frequently. Money coming in to be with me. Money coming in secretly. Money coming, it's just money coming. It's just money coming to me always. Money coming in all day. Money coming in all paid. Money coming, it's just money coming. It's just money coming to me frequently. Money coming in to be with me.
Hey y'all, welcome back to All Things Jenny. I'm Jenny, so I hope you're ready for another spooky story time. And this one is crazy. So I share a story about my life when I was living in Haiti and how my friend and I almost got unalived by a food that we saw at the house when we got home from school. So this is something that is very, very popular in Haiti, and Rebecca's journey actually have the same story, so I wanted to put it in the same video so you guys can see how even though we're both from Haiti, from different places, the rules never change. The rules are basically the same. If you see a plate of food and your parents didn't say they left it for you, do not touch it, because it's something that could have been put there to unalive whoever is in the house, or if they know that you're the only one that's going to be coming to the house, they put it there knowing that you might think that your parents left it for you. So my story is very similar to hers. Listen to hers and then you'll hear mine. This one actually was recorded a long time ago on TikTok, but
Tell a story of when you experienced something that you still can't explain to this day. I'll go first. Back in the 90s when I was a kid, we were struggling financially, and anytime that I was hungry, I felt a little bit of guilt because I didn't want my parents to have to pay for my food. It was a really stagnant, hot summer day. Just me, my mom, and my brother were at home, and out of nowhere, we hear loud crashing and banging all over the roof of the house. We were up on the second story, and there was a porch and like a balcony, so we could hear the porch and the balcony getting hit also. We're freaking out, and as soon as the banging stops, we get up and we run out to the balcony. That was the closest space to us, and when we looked out, we were like, what is this? There was produce everywhere. There was produce on the balcony and on the ground outside on both sides of the house. The yard was pretty big too, so for there to be this much produce, something really, really weird must have happened. We run downstairs and we notice that there's also wooden crates laying around, so we start grabbing all the produce and putting it into the crates. It was like a field day, and I remember thinking, this is gross because I don't even like, cabbage or potatoes and carrots. But my mom was really excited. We're all kind of walking around the yard, grabbing stuff and putting it into these crates when my mom looks over and tells us to stop. I remember her yelling out like, wait, where did this come from? And we start looking into our neighbors' yards, and there was no produce in their yards. I remember my mom getting kind of frustrated because, she thought maybe the neighbors that we kind of beefed with threw the stuff at our house, but that couldn't have been it because we were pretty damn broke, that whole neighborhood was, and nobody was going to waste and throw this much produce at somebody's house. Also, because I was a kid at the time, I didn't really think it through, but the produce hit the roof of a second-storied house, so it must have fallen from the sky. That's impossible though, so where did it come from? A few years later, I learned about small freight planes, this was back in the 90s, that had been known for accidentally spilling the stuff that they were carrying through air. To this day, that is the only reasonable explanation I can think of. It was really weird, but it was also a blessing because we had a bunch of fresh produce.
Okay, as promised, I have more ghost stories. If you have not heard the previous ones, I live in a 200-year-old house in New Orleans. It's in the French Quarter. It's beautiful. It's perfect. It's everything that you would expect a haunted house to look like in the French Quarter. So I have told a couple of other stories, and this is one that I want to tell from a couple of weeks ago. That was actually, I wasn't home when it happened. My boyfriend was. I will set the stage a little bit. This happened back in well, it happened all over the house, but he was sitting in the back in the office area. I'm going to insert a video right now so you can see what that looks like. It's right next to the bedroom. Okay, so this is the walk down the hallway. First, I will take you into the bedroom, the creepy bedroom if you haven't seen it. Sorry, my laundry's all piled right here. A little bit, this is like where we put all of our shit because I don't know what to do with this scary back bedroom. Then you go around the corner, there's Nina. You go around the corner, and then this is the back office. It's obviously not fixed up or decorated yet either, but this goes to the outside right here. So, and then remember this for later, I'm gonna turn around and show you what it looks like going down to the end of the hall here. So this happened about 3 weeks ago. Mina and I were at the dog park, and it was maybe 4:35, like kind of right before dusk, let's say. And he was working in the back office, and he said that, and I'll try to recount this as good as I can. It's his story, like I said. He was sitting in the back, 20 minutes or so. He is sitting there feeling like somebody is watching him. And I think we've all had that feeling before, and it's like a very, very weird feeling. But he was sitting there, and he just really couldn't shake that feeling that there was like a heaviness or somebody was watching him. And I've gotten that feeling a lot in the back of the house, but he said this was really, really intense. And so he kept trying to shake it, kept trying to shake it. It was getting more and more and more intense. He gets up to kind of like shake it off a little bit, comes back to the office, and he said that for the next like several minutes, he was sitting there and the feeling of like uneasiness was just growing and growing and growing. It was almost like a sense of dread. And he said he really felt like somebody was just standing, staring at him. And it was really, really odd. He said he'd almost never felt a feeling quite like that before, where somebody was not in the room with him, and it was just like this intense uneasiness. I'm gonna try to retell this like he told it. He gets up because the feeling of uneasiness is so uncomfortable. He goes and he's walking down the hallway, and I will show you what his view is right here. So he's like going to walk down the hallway, and he sees a shadow at the end of the hallway. And he said that like he knew logically that there was nobody in the house with him, but there was something at the end of the hallway. There was like just a shadow, and it stopped him in his tracks. And then he saw a flash of light that was so bright that it looked like fucking lightning. Like it looked like lightning, big flash, almost even like a camera had taken a picture. It startled him so much that he said he screamed and kind of like jumped. And so about, let's say 30 minutes later, I come home from the dog park. He's standing in the living room. He's like pacing around, and he's totally pale. And I'm like, what the fuck happened? And he explains everything to me and says that like, I don't know what this was, but there was like electricity. There was a flash of light. I really thought that it was lightning. It was really intense. Like it kind of filled up the whole room, and it like made him feel weird. This was actually the incident that caused me to, I bought some cameras, and I have set them up in the house. They've been running for only a couple of days now. And I am going to go back through them in the next couple of days and see if there's anything in there in the hallway, because I don't know what that is, right? And if anybody has ever heard a story like that where there was like a flash of electricity, I would love to know what you think about that, because what the fuck. Anyways, I'm gonna go through that camera footage though.
Let's ensure that you never sleep again. Spooky story time. This one is short, but it's a story that I used to hear when I was a kid. Apparently, this used to happen to people in Haiti. What would you do if you lived alone, you left your house, and when you come back home, you find on your dining room table a fully cooked plate of food that you didn't cook? Story time. Basically, this man used to live with his family, but then, after his misconduct, he got kicked out and he winded up going to live by himself. So he got this little spot, perfect just for him. And keep in mind, this is a Haitian man and a Haitian old story. So dude himself knew about magic. Like he knew about voodoo and all that stuff. But every once in a while, you kind of have to let your guard down a little bit and just live. So where he lived, he didn't live very far from his baby mother and his family and stuff. So one day he gets up, he gets ready, gets dressed, and leaves the house and goes to work. And you guessed it, when he left the house, there was nothing in the kitchen, there was nothing cooking, there was nothing. He left the house and he locked the door, as you do in Haiti every day. So to his surprise, after a long day of work and he comes back to the house, he says he smells food. But that's really odd. He goes to the kitchen, and sitting on top of the kitchen table is a fully cooked, full course meal. The food looked so nicely done, and then on top of that, it was covered as if somebody cooked it and is just saved it for him to get home. Now, this isn't really a time of telephones in Haiti where you could just pick up your phone and just call whoever. He looked in his kitchen. It's clean. No utensils, pots, pans, anything were used. The sink is dry. Nobody tried to wash a dish, nothing. So he opens the food and he's just staring at it, getting a good whiff, and he's like, yo, this thing smells good. And keep in mind, it's after a very long day of work, so this man is hungry. And the more he stares at the food, it's like the more appetizing it becomes. This guy went from, where did this food come from, to I don't know if I should have this, to staring at the food, to now the food looking and being irresistible. So he puts the food away, he closes it, he decides he's not gonna eat it, not today. It was too weird for him. He wraps it up and he throws the food away. And whole night he's thinking, nah, maybe somebody came and dropped the food off for him. Maybe it was like his baby mother. It could have been his mom. So like he's really tripping. He wakes up the next day, nothing happens. A couple weeks go by, nothing happens. Until it does. Because 2 weeks later, he comes back home from work and you guessed it, another full course meal is waiting for him in the kitchen. Just like the first one, but this time it was a fish dinner. His favorite. At this point, he remembers what happened 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, he didn't want to eat the food because it was a little bit too weird for him, so he wrapped it up and threw it away. Nothing happened. Now he's back home. 2 weeks later, there's another plate of food at the table waiting for him. So he decides to open it up. This one is more appetizing than the first time. So he's like, what the fuck? He's staring at the food. The food looks good. It looks appetizing. And he's like, finally, he's gonna give in. It was a long day of work. And at this point, like what's the worst that could happen? He eats the food and he eats every last bite and it was great. Except the following day, he woke up to something itchy. Like something is just in his ear. When he goes to scratch his ear, to his surprise, there were worms coming out of them. It was the same case for his nose and his butthole. Live worms started exiting out of this guy's holes. And when he looked down, he was surrounded by worms that people would have to assume only came from inside of him. And no one could help him because it was way too many worms. And the worms ended up feasting on him from the inside out. The end. Thank you guys so much for watching this spooky story. I have so many more coming. I am posting a new spooky story every day on my page, so make sure you come right back for more. Also, I know a lot of you guys wanted to know the story of why my father cannot have kids. You really don't have to wait anymore because the story is up on my YouTube channel. The full story, it is 37 minutes long. So you get the full tea on why my daddy's shooting blanks and the love or binding spell that kept my mother and my father together. It's all on my YouTube, so you better go check it out. And if you're not following me on Instagram, then clearly you don't fuck with me the way I think you do. So prove me wrong by following me on Instagram. I love you abducted humans, and I will be back with another spooky story tomorrow.
The apples just got bad at the end of the day, and they were fresh apples when we got to the house. So hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to tell you another story about what happened to me as a child in Haiti, which to me was very traumatic, right? So I have this friend of mine, and we always walk to school together and walk back together. And our parents, I lived with my godmom and she lived with her mom, of course, they would always leave stuff for us to eat at the house, but they always tell you if you get home and your parents basically did not tell you, oh, I'm going to leave you food on the table, you should not touch the food that's there because you just never know, right? So we were walking home this particular day, and we were actually going to her house. So sometime I'll go to my house, or she'll come we'll go to her house, and we'll just do homework together and all that good stuff. So we walked to her house this particular day, and we got home and we saw 2 apples on the table. Now, before we left, her mom never told her that she was going to leave anything for her. So her mom was at the market shopping, and sometimes her mom and my godmom would go to the market together and go sell stuff. And this is like a pattern because my godmom used to work at a market. So we got to the house and we saw the apple, and something just told us not to eat the apple because we know people in the town who would basically try to poison children. And it's kind of crazy that it was actually an apple. But we saw the apple, we didn't touch it because we were never told that the apples were there for us. And because we know things are going around the town, we never, touched the apple. So then by the time her mom got home, she told her mom, hey, did you leave us, apples on the table to eat? Of course, her mom was shocked because she's like, I didn't leave you guys any apples. In Creole, of course. Then we were kind of looking at each other like, yeah, we saw 2 apples on the table. We just assumed that it was for the both of us. Well, but we didn't eat it because we know of other things that happened. And I will tell you another story about how our other friend's voice was basically taken after she responded to somebody calling her. But anyway, so we went back. Her mom went in the house and she actually saw the apples on the table, but she didn't think anything of it, which is so weird. But the apples, when we went to go look, the apples that were on the table were basically tarnished and turned worms were coming out of the apple. So it let us know that actual apple or those apples were poisoned. So somebody put the apple there to poison both of us. Why did they have 2 apples? Because they know that we always go home together, and they know that we are always together, and it's like a routine that they always leave food in the house for us, which usually it's like sugar water and bread, peanut butter and bread, Haitian peanut butter and bread, and then of course sugar water. We call it glossy. It's like something that you eat, like a snack that your parents will let you have before they get home to make dinner. So that's usually what's always there for us. But this particular day, it was apples, and we didn't eat it because, of course, I already told you guys why. And yeah, so the apples were poisoned, because the apple doesn't just go from being like fresh, shiny, beautiful apples to like worms coming out of the apples within a few hours. So it was basically put there for us to eat at a particular time so we could be poisoned by the apple. We never find out who did it, but just know we knew that it was poison, because what kind of apple just go bad within a few hours, you know? So anyways, guys, let me know if you guys want to hear the story about my friend's voice being taken, because she responded when somebody called her and she didn't know who called. So anyways, bye guys.
The lady that dances outside my door. Maybe don't listen to this one at night. I listened to this story and I could not get it out of my head, so naturally I have to tell you guys. Now that I read the title, I'm just like, okay, it doesn't sound that scary. Because what is she dancing? Like cumbia, bachata, maybe un zapateo. However, if it's this, we got a problem. We got a problem. So the girl that wrote in the story stating that this is new, like this just started happening to them about a week ago. However, every night that goes by, it's getting worse. So she says that she lives in a very small building. There's only 4 floors and about 12 apartments. She lives in a really nice area and the building is beautiful, however, it doesn't have an elevator, which is why it's very affordable to live there, because they don't have an elevator. They have to go up 4 flights of steps, and it's perfect for her and her sister because they didn't have a lot of money. The other thing that made them want to stay there was because the building had 24-hour security, and of course that made them feel safe. Or I should say they felt safe. She says that they felt so safe that until recently they had never even locked the front door of their apartment. So there was one night where she had been in her room for a while and she noticed that she had gathered too many cups on her nightstand, so she decided to grab them all and take them to the kitchen. However, as she's walking to the kitchen, she notices that her sister is at the front door and looking through the peephole. She says her sister didn't even look back when she heard her walking down the hallway to the kitchen, like she was focused on whatever was on the other side of that peephole. So after leaving the cups in the sink, she comes back and asks her sister what is she doing. Her sister immediately shushes her and tells her there's an old lady dancing outside the door. When her sister tells her that, she immediately realizes that that's impossible because she doesn't see any light coming from outside in the hallway. She explains that in the hallway they have lights that only turn on when there's movement. So if there was a lady dancing outside, those lights would obviously turn on. Her sister moved away from the peephole and she went to go look, and when she did, she can clearly see a very thin old lady walking away from view. She noticed that she had like a black jacket and she got lost in the darkness. She immediately opens the door, and when she does, the lights obviously turn on, and when she looks at the direction where the old lady was going, there was nobody there. She says that in every floor there are 3 apartments, one that's really close to the stairs and the other 2 are down the hallway. She said that she stood there thinking to herself, like, what if I'm dreaming? But then again, how is it that both her and her sister could dream the same thing? And about 2 days later, she got confirmation that it was not a dream. She explains that when she moved in, she was entered into this like chat with everybody that lives in that building, and there were 2 people, one from floor 2, another one from floor 3, that had wrote into the chat explaining to have seen an older lady dancing outside their door. In the chat that the neighbors had written in, they were asking anybody if they had seen an older lady dancing outside their door in the middle of the night, and that the only thing concerning to them was that the lights never turned on, and they don't understand why this older lady does not activate those lights when she's dancing outside their door. She also noticed a pattern that it was only the apartments that were right next to the stairs that were saying that this is happening to. And the strange thing is that, like she said, the building is so small that most of the neighbors know each other. Not to mention that there is no way for someone to come in and go out without that security guard knowing who was was in there. So in the chat, the neighbors had made a plan that as soon as they saw the lady outside of their door, they would call the security guard so he could run up and find whoever's doing this. So it happened again. Immediately they called the security guard. He comes up. There is nobody there. There is nobody that he bumped into, which is impossible. And obviously when they come up, the lights turn on and there's nobody in the hallway. She explains that everybody is so scared in the chat and they are all like getting together trying to see if they can all buy cameras to put on the stairs or outside of their doors. She explains that right now they don't have the money, so they're all trying to help each other out. However, when she gets up in the middle of the night, she said that she could hear this lady outside of their door like dancing, and for some reason she has this urge to open up that door and confront whatever or whoever this person is. She took the words right out of my mouth because that was the first thing I was thinking of, like, bitch, I'm gonna open this door. Then again, like, that would be the stupidest thing to do. Like, we've seen scary movies, do not open that fucking door. And there is no update. There is no update. If there is one, I will tell you, but like, yeah, I have questions too. I want to know what the heck is gonna happen next. But what do you guys think? Would you have opened that door and try to see who she was?
So during my time as a witch, before Jesus saved me, I experienced things that, number one, you would never believe in a million years, or number two, you believe wholeheartedly because you've experienced something similar. I'm going to tell you guys about one of those things today. I might turn this into a series, but today we'll just start with this one. When I was around 13 years old, I got out of the church. I had grown up in the Brethren church. The church that I went to is very legalistic, very ritualistic, very religious. And by 13 years old, my parents allowed me to have the choice to go or not, and I said no. I said, that cannot be what God is like, and if it is, I don't want nothing to do with it. I'm out. At the same time, I got into a very abusive relationship that lasted for about 7 years. It was physically abusive, emotionally abusive, sexually, mentally, physically, emotionally. I'm sure I said one of those twice. It was a lot. Like I said, that lasted for 7 years, and at the end of it, I had come to the end of myself. I had lost all identity. I had lost any bit of self-worth that I ever had. I just truly felt absolutely worthless, unlovable, and without identity. Now, for this all to make sense, I have to give you a little bit of back information. My grandmother, my whole life, spoke a word curse over me that I would one day become a witch, that I had power, that I shouldn't avoid it, that I shouldn't be scared of it, and that I should just embrace it. These things were true. I experienced a lot of things my whole life that nobody else did. I saw things, I heard things, I felt things that nobody else did, and I could never put a name on it until I was 15 years old and took on the identity of a witch for myself. At 15, I got my first spell book and I dove very deep into the craft, searching for an identity after a relationship that left me feeling like I had none. So we're gonna fast forward about 7-8 years. I'm a younger adult. I am living out of my parents' house now. I have a house of my own and I have a roommate. My roommate at the time was an amazing Christian woman. She still is. I still love her so much. That was her little shout out. But I was so far from Jesus. I was so far from God. And so when we were living in this house, I was experiencing the deepest, darkest demonic torment that you could physically imagine. I mean, I could truly only fathom these things in the depths of hell, and I was living in it every day. I was seeing things and hearing things. I was feeling like I was going insane. I would be looking around like this every once in a while. My friends would be like, "What are you looking at?" And I'm like, "You didn't see that?" I was being led by spirit guides at the time that were telling me to do awful things and that started to be really mean and hateful, and they weren't like that when I started to channel them, and so I started to question. I would be woken up every single night by demonic torment, either one of two things. Number one, sleep paralysis, or number two, a panic attack. And this happened every single night for a year and a half at 3 a.m. I'm sure I'm not the first person that you've heard say that. And there is a reason for that. 3 a.m. mocks the Trinity, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. And so there was one night that I woke up, 3 a.m. Not unusual for me. Like I said, this happens every night, and I was having a panic attack. And I was so used to it at this point that I was just kind of sitting there. I learned to just sit in it, and, you know, there was nothing I could do but just sit in it and work through it. And my phone rang, and I was like, what the heck is going on? My roommate's calling me. Now, like I said, it's typical for me to be awake, but for her to be awake is very unusual. So I answer the phone, and I'm like, what are you doing awake? And she said, you need to come in here right now. I'm like, are you good? Are we good? What's going on? Why are you awake? Why do you need me to come into your room? She said, I need you to come in here right now. There is somebody in my room. And so I'm like, there's somebody in your room, in my house. You're calling me on the phone. What is going on? Like, I was so confused. I'm like, this just doesn't make sense. You're calling me. There's somebody standing in your room. What is going on? So I'm like sprinting to her room, like having a panic attack already. I'm panicked. I am like full of anxiety. I'm full of fear. I am literally drenched
in demonic spirits. And I'm running to her room. As soon as I open the door, I remember seeing her face, and I will never be able to unsee it. I will never forget what it looked like. I had never seen her face that pale. I had never seen her look so terrified in her life, and I had never seen somebody look at me as if I were not standing there and they were just looking right through me. As soon as I walked in the door and she saw me, her head went like this. She told me that the man that was standing in her room, the demon that was standing in her room, fled when I walked in the room. When I cracked the door open and she saw me, she saw the demon go from one part of her room out the window on the other side of the room. I asked God why this was later on in my walk, and the thing that he told me shook me to my core. I said, God, why did that happen? All those years ago, I remember being in that room, and I remember her being so terrified, and the look that she gave me, and then the demon just left. Like, why did that happen? And he told me that demon no longer needed to be in her room when you entered it. And if that doesn't show you what kind of demonic spirits were attached to me, what kind of spiritual authority the demonic spirits that were on me had, that demonic spirit that was in her room didn't need to be there if I was there. I remember staying up with her that night for a little bit and just like sitting in her room with her and being like, nothing's here, like I didn't see anything, you're safe, we're okay. And meanwhile, she knew that I was bringing all kinds of stuff into our home. I mean, my home, in the middle of our living room, I had a case, like a Chester drawer, full of crystals and tarot cards and spell books and Ouija material and witchcraft paraphernalia just like displayed in our living room. She knew as a Christian that I was bringing things into that home. She just didn't know how to handle all of the demonic forces that were surrounding us because of the things that I was doing. And honestly, neither did I. It was literally the next day that she called my friend Alexa, who was her friend at the time as well, and now my best friend, the woman who led me to the Lord, and she told her about what happened. So that day, Alexa drove 30 minutes to our house. Donna and Alexa had anointing oil, they had their Bibles, and they were ready to war. Now, keep in mind, I ain't never seen nothing like this in my life, okay? Through the whole entire time I was at church, the whole time I had been a witch at that point, 7-8 years, I ain't never seen nothing like this in my life. These women rain down on hell. They plead the blood over every inch of that house. They anoint every inch of that house. They read scripture, Psalm 91, over every inch of that house. They casted and commanded every single demon that was holding space in that house to go in the name of Jesus. They opened doors, opened windows, and with every single breath they took, the demon in that house was taking its last. At least its last breath in that house. This was a pivotal point in my life because I saw how the name of Jesus made demons flee. I saw how demons were scared of the name of Jesus, and I saw how they obeyed. I saw how they surrendered to his authority. And after seeing that, I wanted to know the man that was behind that name. Little did I know that man was going to change my life. But not yet. But not yet. Because I hadn't learned yet. It wasn't a few days later, girlfriend, that I was sitting on my couch meditating and had a demonic encounter. Should I make a part 2? Let me know.
Hey guys, I'm Jenny and this is Shameless Plug. So I want to tell you guys about my Crown of Success manifestation book with easy, simple rituals and spells to manifest a life of abundance in your life. And those spells are so easy, even a child can do it. So this book is filled with different spells that I've learned over the years from my family, passed down from grandma and everything. And also those are spells that I've actually tried and I know that they work. So this book not only teach you step by step on the things that you can do that are so easy that a child can do it, but it tells you like the proper moon phase to use, alchemy, manifesting with numbers, numerology, and also the days of the week that best fit for this particular spell. So it tells you the timing of when to practice the spell, the days of the week, the moon phase. It shows you all the colors of the candles that you should be using and different planets. So for example, I show you like planet Jupiter is for Thursdays and the hours of the days that you should be doing the spell. So this is an easy road opener spell. So I know a lot of people like to do like different spell work, but if your roads are blocked, of course your spells are not going to work. So it's good to unblock yourself first and then start using the spell, especially with the new years and the new days to come. And also I have some amazing spells in here. This is a powerful quick money spell. So if you're in a bind for some money and you're just trying to get some money, And I even have some easy, powerful spell to win Game of Chance. So if you are a gambler, now I don't promote gambling, but if you are a gambler and you're just trying to make some money and trying to make sure you win, these spells will definitely help you. It tells you the best days to do it. So it says the best days to perform this spell is on a Thursday, Jupiter day. Jupiter is the planet of good fortune, luck, and expansion. Jupiter is the best day to perform spells that boost luck and increase your chance of success in any game of chance or any money spell, period. It has a list of so many spells that you can incorporate in your life with this new year to bring prosperity. And I even put some bonus spells on here, which for Saturday is a day to do like protection work. So I have a spell for like send back to sender. So I put some bonus spells on here, and then a protection with Archangel Michael. So there's so many spells on here. Removing the evil eye spell, so you can remove evil eye in your money and also in your everyday life. New Year home blessing spell, and I know it's been a few days since the new year started, but you can always do a home blessing spell any days of the week. As long as you need it, you could do it. So anyways, guys, this is my book. It's called Crown of Success by Jenny, and it's available on Amazon, the ebook and also the physical copying. So please grab a copy if you're interested in supporting this channel. This is a way to support the channel and to support me as well for putting out, content every day for you guys. So enjoy. So I hope you guys enjoyed this book, and I hope you go and grab your copy, whether it's the ebook or the physical copy. I say have a physical copy, but it's really up to how much, your wallet and what you can afford. So anyways, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Mwah. This is a shameless plug, so just check out my channel, okay? Love you guys. Mwah.